Johnny is still sharp. It's pretty sharp right there. Okay. I'm here with John McElhenny, and we're here to talk about the community gardens at Burnham Field. It's in the planning stages, proposal stages, I guess. What stages would you say it's in?
Right now we're just gauging interest, actually community interest, to see how many people would be interested in having a plot in a community garden at Burnham's Field. We've just put out the word a couple of days ago, and already the response has been really great.
Why don't we explain? Why don't we go back up a little bit and tell people exactly what a community plot is, and in relation to this particular site.
The idea is that at Burnham's Field we'd have this area set aside for gardens, and then within that area there'd be individual plots for families or people who live near Burnham's Field or elsewhere in Gloucester to just take ownership, plant their own flowers, plant their own vegetables, whatever they want to grow there, reduce their grocery bills, just really take ownership of the plot, and then through that get some activity down Burnham's Field, get people sharing gardening tips.
Yeah.
So really just having their own plot in this larger community garden.
All of these types of projects that I've heard about around the country and stuff, that what seems to be what happens and grows from it is people go down there and they're tending their gardens and stuff, and people really end up taking pride in the neighborhoods where this is happening and the areas around it. Really, they end up staying really clean and just beautiful, and it turns out to be a really positive thing for the community.
That's exactly the idea behind this, actually. So we're really excited about the garden itself, but in the bigger picture, the whole idea is what you just described: getting people down to Burnham's Field, getting people to take pride in this great asset. So I could talk about Burnham's Field for a long time. I just think it's a great treasure. It's right in the downtown, the largest green space in the center of Gloucester. It's Gloucester's Boston Common, Gloucester's Central Park. There's tons of activity there already, and as you said, when people get down there, they have a stake, they have some ownership, they have pride in it, they pay more attention to it. Yeah. There's people down there at different hours of the day instead of just mornings. Right. For sporting events. So it's part of a larger picture of making Burnham's Field an even bigger treasure than it already is.
Now we have a map. You brought a map. This probably, from what I can tell, is not going to translate well on video, but I'll put a link to this map on the blog and post it there. But so that people can understand where on Burnham's Field are you talking about potentially putting this? Sure.
So the idea now is that it would go between, people will be able to see on the blog, but it would go between the basketball courts and the parking lot over on the Shepherd Street side. If people know where the yellow sub is, it's on that side of the field, but closer to the Shepherd Street side. Okay. So it's not going to really, it's not going to compete with the athletics that happen there right now. No, it won't. It's far enough into left field of one of the softball fields that it's equal with the parking lot. So it's no closer than the parking lot is already, and it doesn't affect where the basketball courts are, or even where people play pickup soccer.
How long have you gone public with this?
It's been about 3 days.
And what's the interest been so far?
There's already 20 people.
20 people?
Yeah, who've not just responded, but who've said we're definitely interested in plots. We probably won't have that many plots available, but it's great to have all this interest. People drop out. Other spots are identified. Who knows? Yeah. But it just shows that there's this real desire for this type of thing. And some of the comments we've gotten have been really interesting. Some people are interested in the gardening itself, want to grow some vegetables for themselves and their family. Some people are just interested in sharing gardening tips. So one lady said, I'm happy to weed for other people if they can give me some tips on gardening.
Oh, wow.
Other people said, just the idea of this community garden is exciting to them. One lady said, saw your mention of the gardens and it brought me great joy. So there's this real desire for not just growing stuff, and there's certainly that trend out there. People are excited to grow their own food, but also to get together in this sort of community forum where you're doing stuff together with other people. So it's nice to see.
So now what about vandalism? Are you worried about that at all?
Absolutely. Now I've talked to, we've heard from people who've done gardens like this in Salem and Lynn and other places, And what we're told is that these gardens are less of a target for vandals than, say, a white wall, which just invites vandalism and graffiti. So, that's what the experts have told us already. Sure, we're concerned about it, and we'll take steps as the garden grows to, put up fences or whatever's necessary. The idea, though, is that when there's more people down there and more people taking a stake in it, particularly folks who live nearby or are often down there, it's less of a target for vandalism. So that's the idea.
Yeah, like we were talking about before, it seems like, if you have a section of town and there's, say there's a street corner and there's one paper cup on the ground, all of a sudden it kind of opens the door for other people to drop their paper cups or their cigarettes there. But when you have a place that's completely clean and stuff, it tends to stay clean. And I think like a project like this, if it's something that's beautiful and a nice environment, it brings everything up.
Yeah, so that's the idea.
No.
And again, it's part of a bigger picture. So I'm a member of the Open Space and Recreation Committee in the city, and what we've been trying to do at Burnham's and elsewhere is come up with a plan for these things and then get initiatives going at Burnham's or elsewhere, and then go after money, go after grant money. There's grant money out there to improve places like Burnham's Field that we're starting to go after, and hopefully, as you said, making it a more attractive place. That's the goal. That we'll get a community garden there. We'll get maybe a walkway around, a bike path around. So
who from the city have you been working with on this?
Steve Winslow in the Community Development Department has been a great sort of leader in this in Burnham's Field and for other initiatives for the Open Space and Recreation Committee. Steve's a great example of someone who's worked on community gardens and parks, playgrounds like this in other places, in Malden and Somerville. So smart people have done things like this, community gardens in urban settings in other places. It's just a matter of learning from the tricks they've learned there and doing it here.
So we'll keep people informed on Good Morning Gloucester as you pass information on to us. I'm sure you're going to have other venues where people can get information. Is there any place where you want to point people towards to get information about it?
Yeah, they can contact me directly. So the next step here, as I said, it's in the planning stages now. We're gauging community interest. The next step is all the folks who contact me at jmcElhenny@gmail.com. That's JMCELHENNY@gmail. I'll contact all those folks for a community meeting. We're going to have a meeting in the neighborhood just to say, okay, here's the next step on the garden, and then hopefully 2-3 months in time for the spring, we'll have a community garden in Burnham's Field.
Beautiful. All right, John, thank you so much for coming down and informing the folks.
Thanks, Joey.
All right, bye.